The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
All right, welcome back to the Weekend Sports Wrap here with the Duckman. Straight after 7 o'clock news, and we've got a special guest on now, Troy Warner from the Paracave Podcast. Troy, how are you going today?
Going fantastic, Duckman. Another round of the NRL done and dusted. Round 8, the Anzac Round. So a very special round in the NRL. So yeah, 8 weeks in, 2 months of the competition down already.
Yeah, and I've only got about 30 wrong tips from teams doing things that shouldn't be doing it. So, and Gold Coast didn't help me this weekend. Neither did the Dolphins or the Dragons. I suppose the Dragons really was chancy that they could possibly win, but Gold Coast seriously pulled it out of like the bag now against the Warriors when I actually didn't think he'd be able to do it. Well, before we get chatting about the score spot, we'll have a look at the big news sports story of the weekend, really. So this one come up out of the blue. They always come up out of the blue, I can tell you, normally. Paul Kent has been stood down from NRL 360 after being involved in the pub fight. So not sure if you've seen the video footage and that, but it looked like he probably had a couple too many. I'm not sure who he was there with or what was going on. Looked like some guy was mouthing him off. He was mouthing him back, giving it pretty good back to was it Toddy's restaurant at Three Weeds at Roselle apparently. So and then I don't know if the other guy, so I watched it, I don't know if the other guy tried to hit Paul Kent first, or Paul Kent kept calling him and antagonising him until he come over. Then Paul Kent ran over and tried to get in it. But I did see Paul Kent get picked up in WWE, slammed into a tree. So it was interesting. And yeah, just kept on kicking on. Whatever happened with the video after that, I don't know. Stopped it. People were telling Paul Kent to try to stay out of it and avoid it. But number one, he looks like probably can't fight quite as good as maybe thought he could fight. And number two, why would you get dragged into it? Seriously, just let it go, right?
Yeah, look, I, like yourself, woke up to this news on splashed all over social media and saw the video myself as well. And look, this is an interesting one. I don't know what has happened. Obviously, not being there, only the people at the restaurant would know what would have happened. Look, there's two ways that this could have been handled. As you said, he could have been the bigger man, I guess, and walked away from whatever the situation was. And look, as I said, I don't know what's happened, but maybe something has been said to himself about his past, maybe, and that has just really riled him up, and he's called him out outside, and that's when it got ugly. In terms of media personalities and rugby league media, especially what should happen to them, well, I think they've done the right thing at the moment by standing him down whilst an investigation is going on. And look, I think this has come from, again, as well, he was in the news late last year and early this year about domestic violence charges, so maybe that had something to do with it potentially. So they've done the right thing at the moment just to see what would happen in the investigation. I mean, it's probably pretty clear as to everyone can see what's happened. But I guess the media personalities like Paul Kent are in the spotlight just as much as any player is, and they need to take on board as well whenever they're in public, as well, their actions. And I guess now these days everyone's got a camera phone, so it's going to be recorded, especially if you're somebody famous. And yeah, potentially the best thing that he could have done last night would be to just walk away.
Yeah, he did look like he had too many, right? So how many too many? I don't know. Where you're going to draw a line there? I probably wouldn't have got myself in that position in the first place. Get antagonised sometimes. You just got to let it go. Just walk away because it'll escalate and that will happen, right? So the problem is Paul Kent is pretty forthright and outright in his opinions about what should happen to players when they do that too. So he's going to be sailing close to the win now with whoever keeps his job, I imagine. When they find out what's at the bottom of this, because I'm sure that everyone will look at that. And the other thing that needs to happen is it really someone's got to talk to him about just walking away from this stuff altogether when it does happen, because now you can only imagine what would happen to a player if they had done the same thing. So that would have been it would be all over the news say about it. Wouldn't even be funny at all. So yeah, not too sure how that will play out there for Paul Kent. He has had problems. People are going to antagonise you. You've got to let it go, right? So what can you do about it? So it's also, I believe, Tai Tuivasa called him out last year, and I don't think that was Tai Tuivasa. I think it was someone else. I think perhaps Paul Kent may might have fancied his chances against this guy, but yeah, that's just going to end bad for him now. So particularly with his opinion of if a player does this and they do that, then they should get hit with a big stick. I can see this coming for him. It's going to come full circle. What he would recommend happens with players, I could see the same thing happening with him.
I think one of the things that also came out of it, I guess, from rugby league pundits as well, was the fact that he is a boxing commentator and didn't really show much in the way of protecting himself or attacking this other person. So it was a very strange one there. But yeah, probably the best thing, as you mentioned, he's going to be targeted out in public because of his past, I guess, and who he is, and he is very outspoken. So yeah, that would have probably been the best thing, just to walk away from the situation, as people were trying to get him away from that situation.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm not sure who he was there with, but there were people trying to keep him away from it. And, yeah, they did their best from what I can see. He looked like he wanted to definitely take it another level. And unfortunately, now he's got to deal with this problem as well. So, yeah, who knows what will happen there. So let's go to the weekend where all my tips got burned again on a tree. Back on Thursday, the Warriors. So did you actually see this one coming? The Warriors against Titans. I know we were talking about who would or could the Titans beat. The Warriors weren't on the list of people I thought the Titans could beat. Like I said, I actually thought they could potentially beat Melbourne the week after, because I think Melbourne could have an off game here or there. I didn't think the Warriors would do it when they had a lot to go for, and they just didn't look like they could manage the Titans at all.
Yeah, very interesting result, and the Titans got their first win in 8 games, so they'll be happy that they've gotten off the mark in terms of winning. The Warriors went into this game as favourites, but the Titans, look, as you said, we were talking about it as to who they would beat in their first game. I didn't think it might, at the time, I didn't think it was going to be for a while, but the last few weeks have shown a bit of form in games, and look, they were unlucky not to beat Canberra in Canberra a few weeks ago. They went down in Golden Point. Last week they went down to Manly by 4 points. That was a bit of an up and down game as well. So they have shown that they can score points. They just weren't getting the wins. They can let in a lot of points as well. So, look, it was probably not as long as we thought they were going to take to win a game. But on the other side of the coin, the Warriors, look, that they're having a disappointing season at the moment, because last year, top 4, everyone were expecting them to go again top 4 this year. I think I may have even mentioned to somebody that I tipped them as the premiers this year. So they find themselves in 12th position on the ladder. So they are struggling at the moment. They had a draw against Manly last week. They've only had 3 wins and 1 draw. So, as I said, find themselves in 12th position and slowly going down the ladder. So, and they're losing games at home as well, which is a concern as well, because we've seen that in New Zealand it can be a bit of a fortress. So, but well done to the Titans. They're off and running in season 2024, and hopefully they can build on that, and maybe they can beat Melbourne next week at home.
Yeah. Well, I think they possibly could. The first two games they lost, they had a bye round one. I don't think that helped them. Then they lost to St George, and then they lost to St George Illawarra. Then they lost to Canterbury. So the first couple of games they lost to sides that aren't great, and then they've aimed up against sides that are good, like Manly, Canberra, and now they got the win here. So against the Warriors. So I wouldn't say the Warriors are terrible. They're not doing well at the moment, but I think the Warriors will. With the way they've started, they're probably going to miss the top 8 now, or potentially they're going to miss the top 8 unless they can go on a run and win like 5, 6, 7 games in a row, or win, let's say, 7 out of 10 games or something like that in a couple of block periods like that throughout the season. If they can't do that, their season will evaporate quickly. But yeah,
their time for them to really start clicking is during Origin time, where they won't lose, I don't think, any players to Origin, so other clubs will have players out during that time, and we've seen in the past they have beaten sides during that time, like Parramatta last year when Para had a few players out to New South Wales. But any of these bottom 8 teams, now is the time to start winning games if you've had a bad start to the season, to try and get into that top 8.
Yeah, I think they're starting to play themselves in the form a little bit. So I guess we'll see how they go over the next 3 or 4 weeks. So they can pick up a couple of wins here and there. Same as the Titans. They could turn it around easy enough. I don't think the Titans will do any better, to be honest with you, than 9th or 10th. That would probably be a good outcome for them if they can finish. Yeah, Warriors should be expecting to finish in the top 8 at least, and probably aim as high as maybe 5th or 6th. So I think the chances of being premiers might be blowing by if they don't get on a winning streak shortly. The Dragons against the Roosters, so I just don't think the Dragons were good. So Zach Lomax has absolutely played himself out of New South Wales spot now. Where would you play him at Parramatta? So after the other day's performance and the Roosters winning 60 points to 18, surely Zach Lomax is not going to be a fullback at Parramatta or a centre. Like, you'd be looking at him as winger for sure.
Well, there was talk this year that he wasn't happy playing winger at St George, so whether that was the reason why he wanted to come out of the St George and find another club, I don't know, but he certainly has been the player of the year so far. He's leading the Dally M's. Obviously, Dragons didn't have a good game on Thursday, on Anzac Day, but in terms of where I would play him at Parramatta, I'd probably play him in the centre position. He may. So the problem there is Will Penasini and Zach Lomax play the same position, so one of them would have to switch sides of the field to play in the centre. So that'll be an interesting choice for Brad Arthur or anyone else that is coaching Parramatta next year. But he may even roam around at fullback as well, in and out of plays, in attack and defence, and if he wants to play fullback, because he can play fullback, but he may even roam in and out of different plays throughout the game, as we've seen with other players in the past at clubs do that sort of thing, even with if Gutho is still at fullback.
Yeah, I thought I heard someone say too, he said, I can play halfback as well. Like, I wouldn't put you halfback ever, so you'd be one of the biggest halfbacks ever as well. Like, you wouldn't be that. I think he's just looking for opportunities to get on the ball. I think that's what he wants to do. He doesn't feel like, and players equate positions on the field at the moment, like fullback, halfback, 5'8", hookup. They equate that with big money, right? So, and also lock. I suppose you'd say lock would be there as well. As Isaiah Yeo, he's outstanding for Penrith. This is part of the reason why when Nathan Cleary's not there, Penrith can still keep performing, because they've got Isaiah Yeo and all these other guys. If you take 3 of them out, like, let's say took out Isaiah Yeo, Nathan Cleary and Dylan Edwards, Penrith would have problems, right? Then you'd find out how good they are. If you take out the best 3 players in someone else's team, they're going to do the same thing. So that's supposed reasonable. Roosters, was that a red-hot performance? Are they really good? They starting to look good again, or do you think the Dragons just were not good?
Oh, look, that was a great performance from the Roosters. The big test will come next week when they play the Broncos, who got a good couple of wins in a row now, which we'll talk about soon. But their big test will come next week, I think. The Dragons, they I tipped the Dragons to win this game. I thought maybe they had a chance of really stepping it up to the Roosters, but yeah, look, I think the Roosters were really good in this game. Sam Walker was really good in this game. And look, they just really clicked and things went right for them. And I think, yeah, the big test will be next week.
Yeah, absolutely. The Storm beat Rabbitohs 54-20, so it's lucky they got a big win. So they're about to take on the Titans and see how good they are travelling. So I don't think they're going to be able to do that twice, to be honest with you. South, they just look like some of their guys are packed up and getting ready for like Mad Monday already. So like that, the media are feeding that sort of thing as well, saying, "Oh, the players are giving up. They want to do other stuff." Like, how wouldn't you be motivated to play for like $1 million contract or several $100,000 contract? Surely that your motivation's higher, right? That Jason Demetrio won't be there. It's very unlikely next year. I'll be shocked if he's there next year. I'll be shocked if they get smacked again against Panthers next week. If he's there the week after, if they got the week after, so they got no game then. The week after that again, Souths are up against, where is it? Where's the next match? They're up against the Dragons, so I'll be surprised if he's up there against the Dragons if they get hammered by the Panthers next week. So I just can't see how it's going to work.
Yeah, I don't think, with all the talk that's going around, Jason Demetriou will be at South Sydney next year, definitely. The news came out today that Latrell Mitchell, who's currently suspended, has opted himself out of New South Wales selection, which is probably a good thing for Latrell. He can concentrate on his football for South Sydney. We saw Kalen Ponga do that last year with Queensland, and to stay at Newcastle and play football there and concentrate there. So this is a good move from Latrell. Many people are saying, look, why would you say that? You may not have even been picked, which is probably a fair call as well because of his form this year at the moment. Why would he be picked anyway? But he's made that call for himself. He doesn't have to have the selectors make that call. So the biggest talking point out of this game that came out on Thursday was the Tane Milne send-off, which was a cannonball sort of dive into the legs of Cameron Munster, tackle right before full time. And look, he's escaped with 2 weeks suspension for that. A lot of people are saying he should have got maybe 4 to 6 weeks for that, because that is a very dangerous tackle and it shouldn't be in our game. And look, this was I guess you could call it a brain capitulation, a brain snap maybe. It was like 45 seconds before full time, and maybe it was a bit of frustration at the time as well. And that's happened, but he is very lucky, I guess, that he's only copped 2 weeks suspension.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did the same thing against Penrith last year, actually, in one of the games, and got sent off doing the same sort of thing. Not sure it was a cannonball tackle, but he come in and hit someone late in the game. They were losing. South had a bit of a chance of getting back into it. Once he did that, they were cooked. They were done. They just walked off like, oh, what happened? Like, seriously, need to have a think about what you're actually doing on the park, because someone needs to pull you aside and tell you just to reel it in a bit, because you can play, but why would you do it at the end of a game, like 79 minutes and 15 seconds? You do that at the end of a game when you're getting tapped up anyway. Like, just let it go. Don't worry about it. So it's another Paul Kent sort of thing, because that's just going to cost him now. So twice I'm aware of him doing something similar to this. So it just looks bad for the future if he does anything like that again. But it was a good win there by Melbourne Storm anyway. So I would say they're probably, even though they haven't won all the games, they look like they're the benchmark side in the competition at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. They're sitting in second spot on the ladder, but they're just quietly going about their business. And they've only lost the one game this year. They've had a bye already this year as well. So, look, they're probably, not a lot of people are probably talking about them as much as other teams in the competition at the moment, but they're just getting their jobs done winning games. The return of Cameron Munster into the halves to partner Jerome Hughes has helped as well. He sat out the first few weeks of the competition with that groin injury. Whether that's 100% or not at the moment, who knows? But it's certainly not hindering him at the moment because he was player of the match on Thursday night. So a couple of try assists, so it's obviously not hindering him too much to put in a performance like that. But they're just quietly going about their business. Typical Melbourne Storm throughout this competition.
I imagine he'll be pretty happy with his form coming back there. So it's a smart thing to do if you don't need to burn a player and they're carrying an injury like a groin injury, a hamstring or a quad injury. Give them a bit of time to recover because those soft tissue injuries can keep recurring again and again and again, and it could be a full season problem if you sort it out early and let it repair them in because they're little micro tears and stuff. You tend to be able to get better results and be able to get him through the whole season, even if he's not 100% right. It's good work by the Storm. The Sea Eagles, you tipped against Parramatta, and luckily they got up there, 32 points to 18. I thought Manly were making a bit of a mess of this game, to be honest with you. They could have won by more and done this a little bit easier. And Daly Cherry Evans, I don't know who else they did it with, they decided to do some kung fu moves and stuff like that, and they got themselves in a few problems with some sketchy tackles.
Yeah, well, Hamoli Olakawatu, he spent 10 minutes in the sin bin after a tackle with Daly Cherry Evans on Sean Lane very early on in the game. And they are now facing 2 weeks on the sidelines, both of them, which will be a big blow for Manly if they do get suspended. I think they have 3 weeks if they fight it and lose. So a big loss for Manly if they do fight those charges. They've got Canberra next week, who we'll talk about later. But look, this game, again, had a few controversies in it as well. Probably the biggest one was Micah Sivo, 10 minutes before full time with the, I guess you could call it, double elbow on Ruben Garrick's head, which also raises a little bit of another interesting point as well. And my personal thoughts is with the NRL considering changing the kickoff rule due to concussions, then Micah, he attacked the head of an opponent, an elbow to the head. He got 10 minutes in the sin bin. He only got charged and he got a fine. I think it was $3,000. So if you want to get rid of that out of the game completely, then potentially it could have been a 2 to 4 week suspension. He already had a suspension early on in the year, and this is coming from a Parramatta fan. So it was really disappointing because Will Penasini, he got sin bin as well in the 57th minute, so he just came back onto the field. Parramatta were still in the game at the time. It was 20 to 18 at the time, and then Micah's unfortunately done this. Whether Parramatta would have won the game with him on the field at the time anyway, who knows, but he still let his teammates down. So something that Micah needs to think about, and obviously Brad Arthur as well to think about, and maybe he'd go back to New South Wales Cup. The Sea Eagles, they were pretty good at Four Pines Park, another sellout crowd there, so the crowds in the NRL are flying at the moment. Ruben Garrick, he loves playing against Parramatta. He scored 144 points in 12 games against Parramatta, an average of 12, but some as high as 28 in games. So he loves playing Parramatta, and it was no difference there. Goal kicking let Parramatta down as well. Only one penalty goal out of 5 attempts. So there's some points missing there as well. So look, a lot to work on for Parramatta in the bye week. Manly, as I said, they go up against Canberra next week. So they're again another team that are quietly going about their business. They sit in the top 4 in 4th position, so they're winning games and going quite well at this point in the season.
Yeah, they are doing a good job. So Ruben Garrick is a good player. So if you've got a footy coach and thing online in that sort of thing, he's a good player to be worth looking at getting into your team. He does some outstanding stuff. I do think he'll end up probably playing for New South Wales. He probably genuinely does have a chance of getting out in the New South Wales squad sooner or later. So he's playing pretty good football. You can't ignore him all the time. I think there's some opportunities at the moment. Parramatta, Mike Acevo, he should have just taken one out of Ryan Madison's book and just said, mate, I'll just take 4 weeks suspension. I'm not paying $3,000. So.
Well, the ironic thing is that Ryan Madison also got charged with a high shot on Luke Brooks, and it was probably the hit of the game. He copped a $1,000 fine too, so I'm pretty sure Ryan will pay that fine this time.
So you reckon he's not going to try to swap it for a couple of weeks suspension to get out of the fine and keep the money?
No, I think he'll pay the fine after what the backlash he copped last time.
Yeah. So Mike Acevo, it's just a dumb thing, right? It's a winger thing too. So the wingers are doing all this stupid stuff at the moment, all over the place. So Will Penasini's getting pretty close to his winger as well, playing outside centre. So when they start doing that, what can you say, right? People are doing stupid things at dumb times.
Well, his one was a little bit different because I think he was maybe a little bit blindsided of the ball when he tackled Tom Turbo going for a try. So his one was probably a little bit different, and there has been a little bit of footage come out that Tommy T was offside from the kick anyway. So I don't know whether that's the Parramatta fan coming out in me, but potentially he shouldn't have been sin bin anyway, so who knows about that one.
Yeah, it probably has been a little bit hard done by. The ref will draw a line in the sand and everything will annoy him after a little bit. So if someone's done something stupid, something that someone else does later is going to be magnified and be worse. West Tigers took on the Broncos there. West Tigers, I thought they were okay, to be honest, but Broncos just showed they are good, they're clicking, and went through West Tigers like a hot Vindaloo yesterday, 34 points to 10.
Yeah, look, I don't know what it is about rugby league, but there's usually controversy in every single game that has been played, because there was another one in this game as well with Api Coruscant denied a try from dummy half due to, I think it was separation of the ball when he was putting it down. So many experts have said it was a try, play on. Tigers have been ripped off second week in a row after Justin Olam got ankle tapped by Brad Schneider against Panthers last week in Bathurst. So, yeah, a lot of controversial moment in this game as well. Samuela Fanu, he got sin bin for a tackle on Corey Oates when he didn't need to make the tackle. There was a kick put in and Corey caught it in the in goal. And as we know, that's a 20-metre tap, so Corey was running out and Fanu has just tackled him. So he thought he did a good job by tackling. Maybe he didn't see that where he was and where he caught the ball. So he just saw him running at him and thought I'd tackle him. But Reece Walsh and Adam Reynolds, they suffered major cramps late in the game, and a bit of a highlight late in the game was Adam Reynolds. He was down on the ground and pretty much sort of got back up and took an intercept, and then just had to pass it straight away because he had cramps. So they'll be right for next week, but they are certainly looking good. Payne Haas and Adam Reynolds returned for the Broncos last week, so it was good to see them back. Pretty good crowd out at Campbelltown as well, which has been a bit criticised by the journalists as to whether the West Tigers should play games out there.
Yeah, I think someone said that to Benji Marshall, I haven't won there for 10 years or something like that. And he's gone, come on, bro, give me a break, would you? So, and they go, do you want to play all your games at Leichhardt Oval? Doesn't matter if he wants to play them at Leichhardt Oval, at Eden Park, whatever. That's where they're playing. So just stop harping on him at him about that.
Yeah,
the cramp things, they're going to start having an Adam Reynolds as he's starting to get older and been out for a while too. So that would have been funny to see.
Yeah, Reece Walsh at one point, he absolutely couldn't walk. He had to stand still for a bit, and he was in that much pain. But yeah, Adam Reynolds, he was in pain as well, but he was limping around, but managed to take that intercept, and they worked around it. I think one of the second rows at one stage went back to fullback and received a kick, and whilst Reece was, I think, being escorted off the field or not in active motion. So that was quite good to see. But yeah, the Broncos, they're again, they started off the season slow, but they're slowly getting into their groove and just playing simple football. And Reece Walsh at the fullback, he's a highlight reel every week. So he'll be now with Kalen Ponga out of Queensland contention, Reece Walsh will be the number one player in Queensland at fullback.
Yeah, more than likely probably will be. So he'll retain his spot at the moment, I imagine. So I'd like to see Payne Haas drop into fullback and then kick the ball or do something like that. Try to have some drop goals. Need to see something different, right? Rugby league's getting a bit too stale. And talking about grounding the ball, this happened at the Windsor game the other day against Hawkesbury. I was commentating. The prop and captain from Hawkesbury, Adam Magrin, actually chased the kick down, tried to dive on it, and the ball bounced in front of him, and he missed it with his hands and landed on it with his chest. And he said to the referee, "That's a try." And the referee said, "No, you fell on the ball. You didn't try to ground it with your body." Like, what? He grounded it. And he said, yeah, but he didn't mean to do it, so it's a knock on. Like, I don't know how you work that out, right?
It's the old thing of when, you look at it at slow motion, and especially in the NRL, when you look at it slow motion, you can sort of see these things, but when you're looking at it at normal motion, it looks like a try.
Yeah, I would think so. And the angle of the ref would have been a different angle. Like, so I had the advantage of sitting up in the crowd in the grandstand looking down. Even I was like more than 50 metres away. The ref was about 3 metres away. He was running sideways and the ball come back across from a kick. So you turn, and I guess it's a little bit harder to see. He doesn't get the ability to look at any replays. So I didn't either. But like I said, I didn't have anyone in front of me on the field blocking my view. He had a couple of people that were around there trying to clean the ball up. So they make calls on their own. Need to live with that, I suppose. The next game, Cowboys took on the Panthers there, so a lot closer than what it looked there, 26 points to 20. I think Penrith were going through Cowboys pretty easy and looked like they put the cue on the rack. They need to be careful because they're starting to get run down a little bit like this, and teams are coming back into games where I think Penrith, some of the younger guys maybe think the job's done, or they take the foot off the pedal a little bit and the other teams aren't giving up. So they're showing some signs that potentially they can be beaten, number one. And number two, if you hang in there long enough and can stay close enough, you might be able to put pressure on Penrith where you'll take the momentum off and maybe be able to snatch victories like that.
Yeah, look, if you can stay with the Panthers in a game, then you'll have a good chance of winning that, because we've seen that if you stay with them, you can have a good chance of beating them. This game, the Cowboys, they started off really slow, but then they came back in the second half, and look, it was 18-4 at half time, and they managed to get it back to 26-20 at full time. So they did come back in the second half. They won the second half, but it was too late. Brian Toto, playing his 100th NRL game, scored a try in the second minute, and you thought, okay, this could be anything now that they've scored the first try in the second minute. And look, Nathan Cleary returned as well, so it looked like he hadn't been out for a long time, which he has been, but it just looked like the return that he never left. Interesting one is Paul Alamotti. He scored a try as well for Penrith, but he was a late call-up for Taruva, who apparently got taken out of the side by the coach, Ivan Cleary, and something that I've never heard before, a coach's decision. And I think this was like the hour before kickoff, so when the teams got named an hour before the final teams, he was out of the side by a coach's decision. So I've never heard that one. Whether that's got to do with him signing with the Tigers or not, I don't know. People have said yes, it was, but it's certainly an interesting that one. But the Panthers, they just keep on going, and I think they're third on the ladder at the moment. And the Cowboys, well, they again let in a lot of points to a team. Their average is about, or would be at one point it was 24, but they'll be over that now. They find themselves in ninth position.
Yeah, so the Cowboys are going to struggle to hang in here, I think, because they can put points on. They should again. They've got to stop if they get behind in the game, they have troubles getting back into the game. So if they really for them to win, they've got to go out hard at the start. So Penrith just got to stay on the clock. The whole coach's decision thing, I'm not sure it's because he's signed for West Tigers. I'm wondering if perhaps his head's not in the right place or other things going on. But Alamotti, I think that was his first try he scored in the NRL too this weekend, from what I understand. But definitely was his first one with Penrith anyway. The Dolphins, they took on the Knights. That was today. And the Dolphins, I tipped them to win. I'm pretty sure I tipped them to win, right?
I tipped them too.
Yeah, and the Knights, because when Kalen Ponga played last week, seriously, I may as well have been playing because he wasn't running around and he was injured. Someone made a bad call. Jack Cogger and also Jackson Hastings had a pretty decent game from what I understand. And the Dolphins were just a bit flat. I'm not going to aim up every time, but I don't think they played too bad. But I think the Knights would have had to play pretty good to get up over the Dolphins as well. So 18-14 is a good win for the Knights.
Yeah, well, Jack Cogger wasn't named. It was Tyson Gamble and Jackson Hastings in the halves this week, with Dane Gagai as the captain, and a new debutant in the NRL, David Armstrong, in at fullback for Kalen Ponga. He actually scored a try in this game, which is great news for a debutant to score a try. He scored the first try of the game in the 8th minute, and it was great to see him score that in front of family and friends. Another try scorer, first-time try scorer, was Oren Keeley for the Dolphins. He scored their first try. He's only played 4 NRL games, so he got his first try as well. But look, very disappointing from the Dolphins, especially after their performance last week against Parramatta, especially in that second half. You thought that, well, the Dolphins did go into this game as favourites. The Knights had been struggling. The Kalen Ponga had been out, is out. You thought maybe the Dolphins would get away with this victory. But look, the Knights, they stood up and they got the win 10-6 at half time, so it was still anybody's game. This was a really good game of football, and the Knights stood up, as I said, and withheld a late Dolphins resurgence. The Dolphins scored 2 tries in 2 minutes right at the end, and they held the Knights held them out. So that'll be a bit of a confidence booster for the Newcastle Knights after, as I said, the injury to Kalen Ponga, but also they haven't been winning games the last few weeks. So they're still in 13th position on the ladder, but as I said, a bit of a confidence booster going into their game against the Warriors.
Yeah, they'll be happy about that. So Dane Gagai is a good player. I don't know why he's one of these guys who really smashes it up for Queensland, and the Knights fans wish you could do that every single week for them as well. So I didn't realise Jack Cogger didn't play either, but it is a good result. And like someone that scores a couple of tries late in the game like that, the Dolphins, they'll go, "Oh, we were unlucky to lose that." Well, if you've got dominated all game like what Panthers did to the Cowboys, except for the last 15 minutes, really, should be shutting them out a bit more. But it's the nature of rugby league. So it's good they'll move on now. The Dolphins will learn from that. Probably losses like that will teach you something, and the win there for the Knights, I'll be happy rolling forward. And the last game, so I picked the result, didn't pick the score. Players, right? Sharks beat the Raiders 40-0. I'm surprised to say the least, right? Ricky Stewart would have taken that real good too, I imagine, so down in Canberra.
Yeah, I mean, I did tip the Sharks as well to win, so we're on the same page there. But, yeah, did not tip a 40-0 victory to them. It was Ricky Stewart's 500th coaching game in the NRL, so congratulations to him. But it'll be a day that he will want to forget for sure, because against one of the clubs that he had coached in the NRL before, they got absolutely smacked. It was 18-0 at half time, and the Raiders just never looked like getting into this game. And Nico Hines, again, was one of the stars of this game. Scored a try, kicked his goals, kicked the 40-20 as well, I believe. And look, they never looked like they were going to lose this game. And they sit on top of the ladder now, Duckman. I know you had them probably down the bottom 5 of the competition, but they're up on
Yep.
top of the ladder at the moment, sitting pretty and playing some good footy at the moment. So the Raiders, they'll be disappointed. They've got a lot of young players in their side at the moment with Jamal Fogarty out as well. So they've got a young halves pairing in Weeks and Ethan Strange as well. They've got Chevy Stewart back at the fullback position as well. So they've got a younger side. A few players playing their first year of NRL. So, look, they started off the season really well. A couple of wins, a couple of losses, a couple of wins. Smacked Parramatta a few weeks ago. But they will probably maybe really miss Jamal Fogarty.
Oh, I think they will, yeah, for sure. Jamal Fogarty is a good playmaker too, so at half, so he will be very hard to replace, I bet. The night situation, right, with Tyson Gamble, Jack Cogger, Jackson Hastings, I can't see it ending with those three guys. I know I'm not talking about the Knights now, but I just keep thinking about it. There's too many halves in that team, right, for that to last like that. They're just not going to last like that. Who goes? I don't know, but I know that Adam O'Brien signed Jack Cogger, and surely Jackson Hastings is not going to get pushed out at the moment. He's close to captain, isn't he, behind Dane Gagai, who'd be the next in line to be captain there. It was Canberra game, but it was a good result there for the Sharks. Ricky Stewart looked like he had coached 500 games today by the end of the game. He looked real super happy about the loss and not taking it too well. The Raiders will be all right, but they need a half. So that's why I just keep thinking there's these sides with these extra blokes floating around, and surely they're just not going to stay like that going forward. Like even Penrith, like Brad Schneider, I wouldn't be surprised if someone tries snapping him up, Parramatta or even the Raiders again, like whatever. Like there's teams that need someone, and I just can't see how some sides are overloaded with some talent and other sides are really struggling. They're thin on numbers on the ground.
Yeah, well, I think Canberra will try and push Parramatta to try and get Ethan Sanders down there this year. I think Brad Arthur said during the week that he won't be going this year. He'll be honouring his contract at Parramatta. So that's a blow for the Raiders because he's due to go there in 2025. But as you said, the situation that they're in at the moment, they would love to see him down there. He's a natural halfback. So he could replace Jamal easily. In terms of the Newcastle Knights, with those players, Jack Cogger, Tyson Gamble and Jackson Hastings, that's an interesting one because at the start of the year, I think they started with Jackson and Tyson Gamble. They lost a few players, so then Jack Cogger came in, Tyson Gamble got dropped, and I think they won a couple of games, and then they started losing again, so they've changed it again. I think Jackson Hastings got dropped at one stage as well, so it was Cogger and Gamble. So they've had 2, possibly 3 combinations in that halfback position. Look, they won today, so I think they'll probably stick with Gamble and Hastings moving forward next week against the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen, right? There'd be no reason to change it unless you get an injury now. I like Jack Cogger. I like Jackson Hastings as well, but Tyson Gamble's the odd one out. I really wonder what else you could do with him, so I'm not going to move Kalen Ponga on, so that's not going to happen. Would he play fullback? I don't know. So would he play fullback? Would you even look at him? I would.
No. You got the new debutant today, David Armstrong, who's the New South Wales Cup fullback. He's slotted in pretty nicely today, so you'd probably leave him in that spot. I don't think Jackson Hastings will play fullback.
Yeah, Jackson Hastings won't play fullback. Jack Cogger will never play fullback. So if it wasn't Tyson Gamble, I don't know, maybe Dane Gagai could do it. So, I can't say a change in the young guy will keep it. It's just, I just don't see that's not going to be how that ends. So they might keep 3 all this year. I can't see them doing it again next year because too many halves. It's just, if they're not playing, one of those guys is going to go, yeah, this not working for me. So I just don't know who that will be. It might be Jack Cogger. Next week, we'll have a look at next week's games because I'm going to be in Brisbane next weekend. So not going to be able to, or next Friday night anyway, not going to be able to get on air.
Yep.
the Rabbitohs up against the Panthers on Thursday night. So I'll make a bold prediction here and say Penrith will win, but I don't think it's going to be a massive blowout. I think it might be like 26 points to 18 or something. I actually think the Rabbitohs might aim up a bit here because they seem to be able to turn it on against Penrith when it doesn't matter, right? And when it does matter, well, they've aimed up against Penrith the last few years anyway. So I think they'll do it again this weekend as well. So 26-18 or something like that on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think the Panthers will win that one. Look, the Rabbitohs, they are struggling, as we all know, so still no Latrell Mitchell. The Panthers going into this game favourites, so I can see them winning this game. In terms of comfortably or not, well, maybe not. I don't think they'll get 50 put on them again, but they'll have to try and be competitive against the Panthers and just hang in there. But if that Penrith machine just gets rolling, then they're going to find it very difficult and it could get out to 50. But I'm tipping the Panthers in that one.
Yeah, if they give Penrith a lot of ball like what they did to the Roosters, Penrith will put 50 on them. Right? It'll be bad. And that will be the end of Jason Demetrio right then. I can't see him lasting. If he cops another massive score, it just won't last. The Seagulls against the Raiders, as on Friday night, 6 p.m. At home. I'm expecting Manly going to be able to get the job done, particularly if Canberra struggling with the halves issue there. It could be nasty, could be 30-something to like 20, so I expect Canberra will get points and do okay there, but I don't think they're going to get a win. They're just lacking someone to guide them around at the moment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at the judiciary with Hamoli Olakauatu and Daly Cherry Evans, whether they do take the 2 weeks early guilty plea. If they do, I think you'll see Jake Arthur come into halfback for the Manly side. And look, they've got plenty of back rows. Maybe Nathan Brown might slot into that second row position, or Jake Travojevic might go into that second row position. I'm not too sure how long Ben Travojevic is out for. So they'll easily find someone to replace them, but you would like to think that after today and being played at Manly that the Sea Eagles will get that victory.
Yep, so if I was smart when I was flying up the Brisbane this week, I should have planned it so I come back on Saturday and not Friday, so I could go to the Broncos game, because one of my mates is a season ticket holder and had tickets for it if I wanted to go. The Broncos against the Roosters at home, I think the Broncos are going to... This game will be high scoring, but I don't think it's going to be a massive blowout to the Broncos. It could be 30 to like 20 something. So I think it'll be fairly high scoring, because I think the Roosters might be able to get a few points here. Broncos, another side, I'm a bit worried about defensively too. They're probably along with Manly as well. They can score a lot of points, but yeah, when it gets down the defensive nuts and bolts and grittiness, not sure they're going to be able to do it all the time, week in, week out.
Yeah, look, at this early stage, it could be a toss of the coin, this game. I mean, the Roosters, they performed against the Dragons last week. Will that give them confidence going into this game? They only played one time last year, and that was early on in the competition, and the Roosters got the win on that occasion. But we all saw what the Broncos did last year, reaching the grand final. And look, this one being played up in Brisbane, Suncorp Stadium, I think the Broncos will get this win.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. Bulldogs against West Tigers, so that's on Saturday next week. I reckon the Bulldogs will get the job done here. They look good. They look good at the moment. The West Tigers are looking fairly good too, but Bulldogs, their quality players are starting to step up now and gel, and that is a big thing for them. So I think they're going to go close to making the top 8 this year, but I don't think they're quite going to get there.
Well, lucky for Bulldogs fans, they are in the top 8 at the moment, sitting in 8th position, so it's been a long time, I think, since they've been in the 8. The Tigers, look, they've been playing some good football over the last few weeks. Obviously, the results haven't been there for them, but they have been more competitive than what they were in season 2023, whether that's got to do with Benji Marshall or not, I don't know, but they are certainly playing better footy this year than last year. Same with the Bulldogs as well. They're playing heaps better footy than last year as well. So, look, this will be a competitive game. I think there'll be a lot of points scored in it, but I think the Bulldogs will get the win.
Yep. What do you think about Jackson Topine thing? What's going to happen there in the end? So he's got that claim against Canterbury and the NRL at the moment. Do you think there's going to be anything come out of that?
Look, that's a very interesting one. I don't think anything will come out of that. I think, look, maybe potentially there might be a settlement come out of that, maybe an out-of-court settlement. Whether that's a high one or a low one, we'll never know what that is. But certainly if it does go to court and Jackson wins, well, then that's going to open up a massive can of worms. So I think... Look, as an outsider looking in and not knowing what went on, then if you're late to your workplace, be it game day or training or everyday work, then you're going to be punished, aren't you? So I guess that's what happens at football clubs, and whether the punishment is what they did, wrestling, or whether it's extra laps in the pool or extra kilometres in the legs, who knows what it is, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see what happens out of that.
Yeah, it'll be easy to tell what happens because you'll see changes in what football clubs do. So even they'll do a behind-the-scenes thing, yeah, for sure. I won't want it to go to court with like either party because it'll be bad for everybody. Titans against the Storm, so I'm going to ride my luck here, and I actually think the Titans might be able to get another win here. So I don't think too much has changed there. I think they might get a bit lucky if they can play well again. And Melbourne Storm, there might be a little bit of arrogance or quiet confidence there after beating South the way they did. Saying that, I think they're the best team in the comp too. If the Titans are going to get them, it'll be this weekend. But I just can't tip against Melbourne Storm. They're too good. But the Titans have got a genuine chance of being able to do it. If it happens, it's probably now on the back will win with a bit of confidence.
Well, yeah, confidence can do amazing things, and getting that win in New Zealand certainly gave the Gold Coast Titans confidence. The last time they played on the Gold Coast, these two sides, Gold Coast actually won 38 points to 34, so they do have a track record of winning there, but I think the Storm, they will get this win the way they've been playing footy. I think Xavier Coates may be out with a hamstring injury. I'm not sure at the moment the extent of that injury, but I think he may be out. But other than that, I think the Storm will get this win. I just think that they'll overpower the Titans. They're just playing better football than them, obviously, this year.
Yeah, that's how I see it going too. The Cowboys against the Dolphins on Saturday. I think the Cowboys are going to get the job done here. They're pretty good. I think overall, if you had to stack the sides up and look at them player for player, they're probably a better team than the Dolphins on paper, and they should be able to get the win there up in North Queensland.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys will get this win over the Dolphins. Look, it was a tough loss for the Dolphins today, but and the Cowboys as well up there at home, they won't want to lose 2 games in a row at home. They have the wood over the Dolphins, so I can see the Cowboys getting this win. Yeah,
absolutely. Knights against the Warriors. I think the Knights are going to roll on the back of this weekend's win, so playing at home against the Warriors, and I expect they're probably going to win again on Sunday as well.
I think the Warriors will bounce back in this one. I'm not too sure if the Knights can go back-to-back, although in favour they are playing at home. So the last time they played in the semi-finals last year over in New Zealand, the Warriors smacked them. But I think the Warriors will turn it around this week and get the win.
Oh, they've definitely got the players to be able to do it. And in the last game, Sharks against the Dragons there, I think the Sharks are going to be able to beat the Dragons on Sunday at home. I think there'll be a lot of points in the game, to be honest. I think the Dragons can get a few points. I don't think they can choke the Sharks out. And I don't think the Sharks probably can choke them out either, although they did it today against Canberra. The Dragons got an ability to be able to score some points, but just the quality of the Sharks will get the points there next weekend.
Yeah, Sharks are always difficult to beat at PointsBet Stadium, and look, this is the battle of the local rivals. The Sharks and the Dragons have always had interesting clashes over the years. In Shane Flanagan's press conference during the week, after the game, he was asked about this game, and he said, "Well, I was the coach of the Sharks once upon a time and won a premiership there, and they haven't won a premiership since. So what does that tell you?" So that was a quick quick shot over the bow of the Sharks. But look, the Dragons, they could be like a roller coaster. They could actually turn in a massive performance this week and beat the Sharks. But the way that the Sharks are playing, you'd have to tip the Sharks.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they're going to be able to do it. All right, Troy, what do you got on the Paracade podcast coming up this week?
I'll have a replay of this chat come out tomorrow. I'll have the tipping podcast, which we've probably just quickly gone through, come out on Wednesday. I think it will be. Any other breaking news, I might do a podcast about that. And I've got the Jason Hetherington interview running this week as well, up until Thursday. And then a new interview will come out on Thursday. No game day preview this week because Parramatta's got the bye, so guaranteed 2 points, although they may struggle in the second half against the bye. So don't have to worry about football this week, Parramatta-wise.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty good. Troy, thanks for joining us again tonight. So if everyone wants to know, we'll be back on air Sunday night next week. So Troy will be back Sunday night, if you can make it, of course. And we'll be chatting rugby league again next Sunday night, and it's about 7 till about 8 o'clock again.
Not a problem, Duckman. Look forward to it. Enjoy your time up in Brisbane, and enjoy your footy next weekend. Speak to you next week.
Yeah, absolutely will. All right, see you, Troy.
Thanks,
Bye.
Duckman. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracade Podcast. See you next time.